I think that we need to revise our thinking about the terms of offices of our constitutional officers. Now, I know that many people have referred to this as being the Wallace Bill. Frankly, I would have to change my mind drastically. I would support it regardless of who is governor. Certainly, there are a lot of people in our state who would like to see Governor Wallace succeed himself, have the opportunity of succeeding himself. I think it's important that these other constitutional officers might have the same opportunity. The Attorney General, for instance, the State Auditor, the Treasurer, the Secretary of State. I don't see where the people of Alabama are really served to get someone who operates the auditor's office, for instance, efficiently, and then that person cannot have the opportunity to succeed him or herself, as the case might be.
Of course, there are valid arguments both for and against succession bills. I'm against them. I've been against them going all the way back to the Fulton administration. I feel that the people who wrote the 1901 Constitution feared an all-powerful state executive in the utilization of your state forces, the power and the prestige that goes with that office to build political empires. And I don't think that we should vest that much power in the executive office. I believe that it serves the interests of this state that we have an intervening 4 years between any governor. My opposition to the bill is not based upon personalities, but simply on the basis that I believe that an executive should be restrained, and you restrain him most by making him have an intervening period, but so he can't build up a powerful political machine.
Recommend this morning to the Prison Interim Committee the financing of very important improvements in the prison system of Alabama, primarily by general obligation bonds, to be submitted to voters of the people. In my opinion, an issue of bonds of approximately $2.5 to $3 million would get the initial phase of this financing kicked off on a very sound basis. It would enable the construction of an entirely new maximum security prison at Atmore. This would take the place of present Kilby Prison, which could then be demolished. Kilby Prison is located on approximately 2,100 acres of very valuable land. This can be sold. Appraisers about 4 years ago fixed the value at over $5 million. It is now said by real estate experts that the value is considerably higher. If this money can be converted into cash, it will build us a new, modern penal system.
Step 1, relocate Central Warehouse, Abattoir, and cold storage at Draper Correctional Center in Elmo County. The cold storage plant is presently located within the walls of Kilby, and the Central Warehouse and Abattoir are located outside the walls. Step 2, construct a maximum security unit for approximately 500 prisoners in Escambia County on the presently owned Atmore Prison Farm. The tag plant located at Kilby would be located in this new institution. Step 3, construction of a new cotton mill at Draper Correctional Center. It would be well if either or two of the above-mentioned steps could be commenced and carried on simultaneously. The acquisition of sufficient land in Montgomery County to relocate the general offices of the Board of Corrections, the receiving unit, and the general and tubercular hospital, central garage, and engineering warehouse. Only small acreage would be necessary, perhaps 100 acres or less. It will not be necessary to acquire land of any agricultural value, inasmuch as there be no farming activities connected with either of these institutions. The Board of Corrections owns sufficient land to provide for the construction of these buildings in other areas, but it is felt advisable that these particular facilities should remain in the county and centrally located. In the case of
for each day actually engaged in the performance of such duties, not to exceed $300 each, and shall be reimbursed for the actual expenses necessarily incurred by them in the performance of such duties, period, that is hereby appropriated out of any funds in the state treasurer not otherwise appropriated, such sums as may be necessary to pay the compensation and expenses as herein provided for, including the cost of procuring the boxes or cabinets herein required, to be furnished to the Secretary of State, period, Section 4, Code of Alabama, as printed and published, with the certificate of the Code Commission, herein above provided for.
The new code spells out the requirements that are necessary for a pharmacy student or an individual to become a pharmacist. The requirements needed not only in his schooling, but also in his apprenticeship after his degree is obtained. It also spells out who shall fill prescriptions. And under the modern miracle drugs, gentlemen, it is a very serious situation when a person who is not familiar with what's going on in pharmacy and the new developments of the incompatibilities and so forth in drugs is allowed to do so.
I think that
there's not too many registered pharmacists that have actually read and studied this bill, or they would be up here perhaps in opposition to this bill. How a registered man can comply with all the provisions of this bill should it pass is beyond me. He'll find out if it should pass. First, of course, it would put the non-registered pharmacists completely out of work, some 25 in Mobile and some over 125 or more in the state of Alabama. These men would be, and ladies would be placed on the public. They've known nothing else than filling and dispensing drugs and prescriptions through many, many years.
We have given these inspectors an outline of the duties they're required to do. We've gone further than this, and we've given them police power, the power of arrest. But we've limited in this respect, that any time they exercise this police power, they must immediately turn it over to the legally constituted power in that county. They are not allowed to carry it any further than exercise it and then turn it over to the police power in that county. Now, we've gone on and we've had to enter our own profession and delegate who may do what and how they may do it within our own profession, because we feel that unless we can control our own profession, we can't help with the many problems in the drug traffic problem today.
There is not one single solitary qualification for those 10 inspectors to be found anywhere in this act. They will not be under civil service, since this is an independent board, and any board can employ any inspectors without any qualifications whatsoever under this act. Now, let's take this one step further and let's see if there are any further dangers inherent in this act as presently drafted. This bill, as presently drafted, the substitute bill, will give to these inspectors, who are not required to have any qualifications, absolute, plenary, and uncontrolled power, not only to police the pharmacies, but they will also have the right to enter any residence in the state of Alabama. They'll have the right to stop your automobile to search it. They'll have the right to go in your home. And above all, under this bill, they will have the right to seize anything they say is contraband. They will have the right to appear, and this board will have the right to fine you individually up to $1,000. And under this bill, there is no judicial review for such seizure by these inspectors, and there is no judicial review of this fine up to $1,000.
Mr. Hayes, first to you. Mr. Jack Lynn, the legislative director of the American Farm Bureau Federation, was here earlier today. Could you recap his remarks to the attendants today, and of course, add anything you want to say?
I'll be happy to, Mr. Brewer. He was reporting to our people on a part of the Farm Bureau's legislative program, national legislative program. We were dealing particularly in the matter of policy on pricing in markets. As you know, Farm Bureau has always had a policy of strengthening and improving the market system. When we think about this and compare it to the present trend of things, it really motivates us to get busy and get something done. And so we were talking primarily about Farm Bureau's policy of strengthening the market system here today as compared to some of the proposals contained in the national legislation.
And Mr. Dorrell, yours was on the subject of state legislation.
Yes, that's right, Bob. We have several bills in the state legislature which are at various stages of passing that we're very interested in. One in particular that we're interested in is a bill creating a food marketing and processing facility and commission. We hope to expand in here again in our market development through this program. There's some what we call unfair tax laws that we're seeking amendments in these that will make the revenue situation, taxation more fair to our members.
Mr. Barrington, you were on the five-member panel discussing the expanded program of Alabama Farm Bureau. Let's hear a little more about that.
Well, we think that our expanded program is receiving wonderful reception, not only with our membership, but with the total public. And the part that I talked about this afternoon, of course, market development don't only concern the producer himself, but it concerns the total economy of the state of Alabama. and we think it is very explosive. We think it's the most wonderful launching pad for our expanded program. And we, as we told the crew care this afternoon, the greatest vacuum in the total agricultural picture today is marketing.
First, last week we had a survey of our students determining the number of books that we would buy back by title and whether these books would be usable or not. And today we have gone through the process of actually buying these books back. We've handled this through our homeroom section teachers, these teachers evaluating the books and actually going through the process of paying the students for the book.
Has there been a problem you've run up against yet?
Well, no real problem. It's been a great responsibility in the teachers determining to the extent and condition of the books and whether we felt that they were really of value to our system. The field has gone on very well, however. We've had very few problems. Teachers, I don't think, feel that we've had quite the job that they anticipated relative to it. Most of them are well pleased.
Did we mention the number of books collected thus far?
No, something like probably 5,000 to 6,000 books today.
So next year would probably be easier with the collection.
Well, the process this next year would not be the same. We wouldn't, well, I understand it, we would not actually be buying books in, but rather we would simply be checking in our state-owned books.
Any time when a male reaches the age of 18 years, he has 5 days after reaching his 18th birthday in which to come in and register.
Now, besides 5 days to register, you have a word of warning for a late register.
Don't be late, because it is a penalty for failure to register.
Who might be deferred, Mr. Curley?
Well, there are a great number of reasons for deferment. First of all, if a man marries, that's one of our principal reasons for deferment. He goes into the National Guard or the Reserve. He attends regular school or college or trade school.
there are any number of reasons that for which we can give a deferment.
For a young man who might go straight into service out of high school, or unfortunately, we'll have to mention the dropout who might go right into service, this doesn't release him from the obligation once he's released from active duty, does it?
That is true. Upon his return from active duty, it is his obligation to register with his local board.
Can we look at a few of the numbers here for the call-ups in the last 3 or 4 months?
Well, it's increased somewhat. Take for the month of January of this year, we were called upon in the state of Alabama to supply 53 inductees. Our call for the month of June is 358. So you see it is on the increase.